Unmute. All right. My name is Deanna, and I am an adult child of uh, chaos and dysfunction. Included in that chaos and dysfunction is alcoholism, poverty, immigration. Uh, so there's a lot, always a lot going on there. But I think I'm gonna start with the beginning of my recovery journey. I had no idea that I was an adult child of chaos and dysfunction. Um, I would have told you because I was told that I came from the best family and nobody ever did anything wrong and they were all great. So clearly there was something wrong with me. And that was what I thought when I first got into program. And clearly there was something wrong with me because I came in through my original recovery program was the beverage program, as we lovingly like to refer to it. Um, but I soon realized that not drinking a day at a time wasn't cutting it for me. I didn't get that relief that people say they get when they stop drinking. And I do like to say if you drink later in life and you put it down and you do the steps and the work, you may have great relief and you get to go back to the person you were before you started drinking. But my problem was I started drinking when I was 10 and it wasn't for effect. I thought it was medicine. It made me feel better. It made me okay with my life not being okay, is basically what it did for me. So I can't say like, you know, my mother, when she drank alcoholically, but she also ate. She was an eater, a gambler. My father was a uh, missing in action, and my stepfather was abusive. Uh, those are things that I had to figure out later, because by the time when I was, I knew I was different. Uh, I would say there was something wrong with me. I thought and of course I was terminally unique because I thought I was going to cure myself of whatever was wrong with me. And then I was going to write a book about it, share it with the world. And I'm not even really sure. I have no idea what I was thinking back then. Um, so much has been revealed to me over years doing the ACA work. So no matter what I say, if you're new and you're starting to work this program, just keep doing the work. More will be revealed. Because that is just how it works. It's not like nobody's waved a magic wand at me and all the things that I thought were true about me disappeared and this new set of beliefs came in. That's just not how it works. I mean, you could take this book and you can read it all, 600 pages in a couple days if you really want to, but whether or not that information will do anything for you or absorb into your being, is probably not going to happen, because that is just not, we are not robots. We're not computers. We are sentient beings. There are reasons, there are clear reasons. You can't remember your stuff from childhood. Like I couldn't remember stuff from childhood. When I was 18, if you told me that I was Mork's brother, I was Mork's sister, and I too had hatched out of an egg. I know I'm dating myself. Mork and Mindy from back in the 80s. Mork was an alien who came from another planet and he hatched out of an egg. And but if you had told me when I was 18 that that was my origin of my being, I would have believed you. I wouldn't have, I didn't think I was ever a child. I didn't remember being a child. But I also had this feeling like I had killed somebody when I was a child. So it was odd. Like, did I kill somebody when I was a child? And I'm like running from the law and I don't remember. Um, but the facts are, we go through what we go through when we're little. I went through what I went through when I was little. And I was think there's and then let me just go forward with that thought. And then, I got launched out into the world and now I have to survive. I have to figure out where to live. I have to earn money. I have to, do life. And of course, I had to have a relationship, because if I'm not in a relationship, if I don't have somebody on my arm, then I'm of zero value. Which was another false belief that was stuck in my head. I wanted to be with somebody that would make me look good, right? Because I couldn't just like be good on my own. I had to have somebody that was going to make me look or look important, or whatever it was I was looking for. Today I know a lot of the answers to these questions, but I didn't know at the time. All the moves I made I thought were right moves, but I didn't understand when I was making those moves was I was basically making those moves as a 8-year-old pretending to be a 40-year-old, as a 20-year-old in survival mode, trying to let this thing in my head dictate my life. Funny because I keep I have these, I call them breakthroughs. You have these memories, and it's like you process it, and it's like, wow. Um, and yeah, I keep thinking there can't be more, but again, there's still more. There's always more. More will be revealed. So where do I want to go with this? So so my trip in recovery started early. By the time I was 20, I was trying to fix myself. I did a lot of crazy, back then, there was something called Dianetics, um, which I was Dianetically cleared, which meant I had all these memories come up of my terrible childhood. The problem with that was I didn't feel any of it. I was not emotionally attached to what I was seeing. I was like just watching a movie. And so at that point, I now knew why I was a mess, because all this bad stuff happened, but it didn't click. And I would tell the stories about what had happened to me for effect. And because I wanted something from you, I wanted you to feel bad for me, or I wanted to make an excuse. I'd be out in the world making moves, I'd make the wrong move, I'd fall on my face. And then I'm going to tell you, oh, well, I had this crappy childhood. And if you had my crappy childhood, you'd be making these same mistakes too. And I don't use those excuses anymore. Uh, and I, so I was sober in 1991. I quit drinking and drugging and smoking cigarettes, and I never touched drugs or cigarettes again. But I didn't know, like I had a reservation with the alcohol because I thought I missed out on some fun. And after my mother passed in 2003, I started drinking again, and that lasted for 8 years before I finally drank my way into 12-step program, which I am grateful for. I'm grateful that I drank myself into 12-step program and I couldn't stop on my own, because I finally got some instructions on how to work this thing called life. Because I never got those instructions, but I didn't know I didn't get those instructions because everybody told me I was supposed to know, which was very confusing. Like, I don't know. How are you supposed to know what you don't know? So here I am, I get into 12-step program and I finally get some instructions. And all right, I can do these 12 steps and I can learn to live my life this way. And something in their 12 and 12, it says that this is it's a spiritual, it's a soul sickness. And then I knew I was in, because I had that soul sickness. That was, somebody named it. My soul was sick. And what I didn't understand was I had like complete separation from my soul is what I had. I used to be a complete duality. Like there was one part of me that completely living in fairy tale. Everything was good, and there's were these rules to being good. And then this other part of me was just really just wanted to run the streets. My idea of having fun was doing things that were basically bad for me, um, and not getting caught. So I finally get the rules, but it didn't do for me what I needed it to do. And so I needed more. I needed more than what the 12 steps on their own, which will restore you to sanity if you ever had it. So if you grew up in sanity and you had some sanity and you had some kind of feeling of being grounded in your body and knowing the difference between reality and fantasy, and you do those 12 steps, chances are you're not here. I needed something more than those 12 steps had to offer because there was nothing to be restored to. When I got restored to sanity, it's like, I picked up my first drink as 10 and it was medicine. Now what? So and then even though I had done that work in Dianetics to clear my mind, I still hadn't really connected my being with that little kid who went through this stuff. And even for a long time in ACA recovery, I tried to work this program as it's, laid out in the big red book, and I asked my critical parent to step down, and she did, which ended up not being all that good for me. And I realized, later that, well, I did the best I could for a long time, and I'm grateful for basically in 2021, somebody decided that maybe we needed more than one chapter on becoming your own loving parent, since that is the solution. And we have this wonderful guidebook came out. Now, mind you, I was in ACA for 10 years, doing the best I could with, what we had, our one chapter in the big red book that is on becoming your own loving parent, which doesn't really give you a how-to. It just says, this is what you should do. You should become your own loving parent. That's a good idea. What the heck does that mean? I'm like, so I'm trying, but still I'm faking it because I don't know. So this book comes out in 2021, and I started with a group of people, a loving parent guidebook group right away, and we started to read the book together because I read it once through on my own, and I knew there was something there. I was like, oh, this is good stuff. But I also knew that just reading it, the words on my own, didn't mean I had done the work. So we were in this group, and it took us 2 years and 2 months, just letting you know, to read the book as a group together. And we read very slowly. Sometimes we only read a page and a half, and then we just shared. It didn't like you didn't. We weren't forced to do the assignments. It was a loose group, but we read, and then we'd share on what we just read, and then we'd come back every week after week, and do that together. And man, I'll tell you, that was when really the lid kind of popped off the container here, because that's exactly what I needed. I needed what was in that book. I needed somebody to take my hand and say, forget your college degrees, forget everything you think you know about being alive in the world, and take this child's hand that lives inside of you and go through this process, and try to slowly undo the damage. Yes, damage. I was damaged as a child. Okay. I wasn't born damaged. I was damaged as a child by people who didn't know any better. Okay. They didn't know they were damaging me. I'm not trying to put anybody, whatever, and I mean, there's some people for some things I don't forgive them because it's not my job to forgive them. Personally, I think forgiveness is above my pay grade, unless it's something small. But if you did a big bad thing, you need to talk to God about that. You leave me out of it. I need to work on healing that damage, so that I can live a decent life that I deserve. Why do I deserve a decent life? Because I was born, and I'm human, and all humans deserve a decent life, where they learn how to self-care and self-regulate, and not have all these voices in their head of that don't even know where they come from, these abusive people. So, I had to walk back my early childhood years, and go through that list. What I got was, a bunch of people looking at me like I was supposed to already know things that were never taught to me, and then being ridiculed for not knowing them. But then I didn't know that that wasn't normal. I just thought, oh, I must have dropped the ball. They must have given me a manual, and I didn't get it. But the fact of the matter is, I never got the manual. I don't remember I think, my family, God bless them, for whatever reason, they just thought, you wound kids up and, and some people are the other extreme, you know, they get this rigid manual. This is the way to do it, the only way to do it. And that's just not true. We are unique creatures. We got unique fingerprints. We have unique DNA. We are unique creatures who all have to find our own way, you know, our own way to do things and our own way to be comfortable inside our skin. So yeah, and in part of in the Loving Parent Guidebook, I love the reparenting check-in, the morning group that I go to. We do it every day. We After the meeting, we stay, and we do the Loving Parent check-in, and then we continue to share after. And that has been like pivotal, because what I discovered for me is this relationship with these inner parts. Um, it's not a one and done. It's not, oh, checking boxes. Oh, yeah, I found my critical parent and I made her be quiet. No, I found my critical parent and I have a relationship with her. So she's not so nasty, really. But who is she? She's me. She's not somebody else. She's me. That's the person I became. Perhaps it was as a result of my upbringing, but that was me. I became that person towards myself. So, you know, uh, learning to be kinder and gentler to myself. And if I'm kinder and gentler to other people, that's just the result of my being kinder and gentler to myself. You know, but it also doesn't mean that I'm a pushover. I have stronger boundaries now than I ever had. You know, I'm kind, but I'm not weak, and I don't take shit. Um, if I don't like the way you talk to me, we're done. You get one shot. I'll tell you, don't talk to me like that. But if it continues, we're done. I don't need to have those kind of relationships with other people. I used to think that I needed relationships with other people in order to uh, uh, prove I was alive, that I existed, you know, and that is just not the case. I exist because I exist, and I deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. And I needed to learn to treat myself with dignity and respect. Um, and over the years, so stuff takes time. I have parts have come up, and they have presented themselves to me, not always in the most pleasant of way. Look, they didn't go hiding for no reason. There was a reason they went off in hiding. Come on, let's be real, okay? Something bad happened, and then something even worse happened is nobody gave a shit. And then a third worst thing happened is I didn't give a shit. Okay. And I didn't want to hear it. So we talk about, post-traumatic stress, in the books, it says that something becomes post-traumatic 6 months. If you don't deal with a big bad thing within 6 months of the event, now it's post-trauma. Now you don't remember the event, you're just dealing with the effects of the event, and you don't remember the event. So now you're talking 50 years. I got stuff coming up from 50 years ago. I don't remember. You're mad. My part's mad at me. I'm gonna give you a pass on that. You'd be mad at me because I'm sure as a little angry, angry 8-year-old, I wasn't pleasant. I was mad, you know, and who was there mostly to take that anger out on me? I didn't want to hear her telling me all her, at that time, what I thought were her whiny, crying. I didn't want to hear it, you know, because I didn't know. I didn't get it, and I didn't know. And then I thought, just so many wrong thoughts, so many wrong thoughts. But thankfully, the You know, thankfully we have this, you know, the Loving Parent Guidebook and other literature. I mean, other books that have helped. I'll, you know, the traits book, um, amazing, talking about our traits and where they come from, picking it all apart. I mean, we have lots of literature. We have lots of literature, and thank God for Zoom. So it was one good thing the pandemic did is it all got us all figuring out how to use these computers for something other than shopping. And we have meetings all over the world where we can share our experience, strengths, and hope. Because I would like to say, listen, if I could do this work and heal, make amends with my inners, anybody can. This isn't, this is like, it's, you know, but it's a relationship. I mean, a lot of times when my inners first come to the surface, they're like this. And usually they're sitting on the edge of a bed, whatever bed it was in the house I lived in. Probably because nighttime was when we fought the worst, right? You go to put your head down and the bickering started. And I didn't know. I thought that that was normal. We're gonna fight till the death. One of you is gonna be quiet and the other one's gonna win. But that's how do you live in such a small space? This is my space, this is my inner space, right? How do you live in such a small space with that kind of war going on? You don't. We're not supposed to have war in here, but we're also not supposed to have quiet. Quiet doesn't mean there's no war. Quiet just means it's perhaps a silent war, you know. So getting to the parts to talk and getting me. So I remember distinctly one time, this was just a couple years ago, we're in the meditation, and it was on, you know, feeling safe. And and we're taught, we're meditating, oh, we're gonna get in touch with our parts, and we just read this whole thing back. And my inner child said to me, who's gonna keep me safe from you? Oh, out of the mouths of babes, right? She was right. Who was going to keep me safe, her safe from me? You know, nobody outside of me was abusing me anymore. I was doing it, you know, and so she was right. I got to keep you safe from me, you know, and I didn't realize until, you know, I think it was my second time through the book that my inner teenager was in charge. You know, when I made the critical parent, who was my 8-year-old, step aside, my inner teenager took over. And all my inner teenager wants to do is not good things, you know. Get, you know, I want to get lost in those, you know, and they were fighting. My inner teenager and my inner child were, you know, they were in fisticuffs. They wanted to kill each other. They hated each other, which is not just no way to live. You know, I learned to take the word but when I try to go over a situation. I try to take the word but out of my vocabulary and replace it with the word and. So when I hear myself say but, I go, oh, and that's an and. You know, you love somebody and they're abusive, you know, and you have to look at both of those things and decide and then make a decision. Because my inner child was filled with fantastical thinking. You know, the world is full of rainbows and butterflies and unicorns that fly, uh and then so then if you don't get what you think you're supposed to get with these rainbows and butterflies and unicorns and fly, then blow it all up because something went wrong and everybody sucks. And there's a teenager, right? So somewhere in between there is the truth. Because we all know at this point that, you know, the world is not full of rainbows and butterflies. Not that there's not butterflies and rainbows, but it's not filled with them. It's not all there is. There's a lot more to it. And sometimes, you know, we just have to do adult things a day at a time and live in reality. Jesus, it took me watching Game of Thrones and being upset with the whole rest of the world about the ending of it. I had to finally accept that that's just how it ended, right? Acceptance. Whoa. I have to accept that my early years on earth were what they were. You know, I'm gonna be mad about them for the rest of my life. That ain't gonna get me anywhere. You know, anger may fuel the fire, but all it does is make bigger fire, right? So after the anger, there's got to be something else. I'm not saying there can't be anger, because of course there's a little bit of anger going to be in there. Yeah, am I mad I didn't get, better parents who could do a better job? Sure. But I didn't. Then there's nothing I can do about that. That is what it is. That history is written. What I can do is this work that I learned in this program, a day at a time with others who understand what I'm talking about, so that I can learn to be a better loving parent to myself in the here and now. And I can have relationships with all my inner parts as they present themselves to me. And I can help them heal and express their hurt, anger, whatever they got. And together, we can have a better today and a better tomorrow. Because ain't nothing I can do about yesterday. It's gone. All that guilt and shame and uh all that is just bullshit. Keeps us in our prison. I don't need to stay locked up here in this prison anymore. I need to live right here in the moment. The only moment that exists for me right now is this moment where we're talking, where we're connecting. This is the only moment that's real. The next 10 minutes they're not created yet. We might have a clue how they might go, but it doesn't exist yet. In the past, it's done, it's written. All we can do is learn from it, So and I wanted that magic pill. I wanted that magic pill, but that's what got me in, part of what got me in trouble. The booze when I was 10 was a magic pill. Uh, so I try to avoid the magic pills, live in the moment today, and do the best I can a day at a time. And try to help spread the message because we have a lot of great literature uh in this program that can help, you know. Uh, and with that, I've gone almost 30 minutes, I think. Should I, is that good? All right, let's be done.
Awesome. Thank you, Dee. Thank you so much for your sharing. Y'all know what to do. Please unmute and thank our speaker.
Thank you so much.